Welcome to a new episode of Story of Success. Each time we'll be bringing you new, compelling and inspiring profiles. Each and every time we'll tell you the whole story behind the name. This is Story of Success with me, Rania Al-Aizadi. Today we have one of the famous Egyptian figures. She's Dr. Yumn Al-Hamai. We'll dig deep into her life to discover what new she brings to her society. Dr. Yumn, you are a former National Democratic Party member and you are as well an economics professor at Ain Shams University in Cairo. You've been appointed member of the Upper House of Parliament. Give us some details about your position there.
Actually, my position now, I am professor of economics. I've always been a professor of economics since 1987. It's a long story. You know, nobody or not much people can know about you know, the career path of professors in university. It takes a long time after having PhD to go through associate professor and then a full professor. You have to go through having research, and you have to apply to a committee in order to have your research approved for associate professor at the beginning, and then for a full professor it takes 10 years of hard work in order to reach this position. So that's why I'm always, despite all you know, positions that I have taken during the last years, what I'm actually quite proud of and I like the most important title is my academic title, which is because I've been in this academic path since 1974. It's a very hard, you know, roadmap towards achieving a full professor, day of works, and I have to make researches to supervise other researchers. So it's a long story. But at the end, what is quite important for an academic or academia, generally speaking, is to have other experiences. So experiences enrich.
This is exactly what I was just going to talk about. It's not only academic life. You manage to have your share of participating in political and social life as well. Not all academians succeed to have such participation.
So for this, you know,
what drives you?
Actually, it comes from my point of view. I'm a big believer in God, actually. That's I have to do my homework properly, which means that for my career as a professor, I've done the best, my best, of very hard work in order to have my PhD at the beginning in UK. I had an internal mission, and then I had all my researchers there, interaction with academia in UK.
I'll come later on to talk about your participation in London and the UNICEF as well.
Of course. So it's a long way, but during your work, you have connections with people, communications, and so on. So indirectly you are marketing yourself.
What motivated you to participate in the political and social life?
Actually,
Especially that we know that academians are much more involved in research and studying.
yes, this is a very important question to be elaborated, because you know I haven't chosen to be to enter politics, which means that when I've been chosen a member in Shura Council, it was in 1998 and so on. This was because of my work in human resource development in my faculty, because you know, I had an initiative in my faculty. It's Faculty of Commerce, Ain Shams University. It's long students.
You're spearheaded the curation of the development department there.
Yes, yes. You know this initiative that I have initiated is the first human resource unit in universities in Egypt, which is human resource unit in Faculty of Commerce, Ain Shams University. Because as economist, I've noticed that there is, you know, a very big, you know, unbalance between supply and demand in labor market. So I noticed that my students, they are not aware of opportunities of job. So I had in my mind a very big question mark regarding how I can help them to address labor market so that they can have more opportunities. And from this perspective, you know, I work hard to initiate the human resource unit in my faculty. And this was a completely, you know, a shift towards having this kind of compromise and harmony between supply and demand in the labor market. For this initiative, I've been selected as a member in Shura Council. So as a Shura Council, I started as a professional, as an economist, which means that I have been working all the time in Shura Council as economist. This is my professionality in large. From here, it comes that they have selected me as a member in National Democratic Party. So working for the party was completely related to my professionality, not as a politician. And to prove that, I have to tell you that the National Democratic Party asked me several times to be elected in the party, and I refused completely. So political life for me, it was actually related completely to my professional, how I can help, or the party can be a very important access towards my professionality, how I can work as economist through a party.
From being aware of applying what you teach.
Of course.
You have your own school in university. I've been told that you teach your students special keys to success. What are they?
Actually, I have my school,
like you mentioned, as
yes,
a professor.
As a professor. As a professor, actually, I have my message to my students regarding two sides, which means that number one, about the contents I am teaching and how this content should be selected carefully in order to cover, you know, a syllabus, which means that when I teach international economics, for example, what I'm doing actually for the third year of English section, this course should be taught in, for example, 15 chapters. They have to follow these 15 chapters, not only having all what is related to international economics, but in order to be, you know, monitored, which means that the student, after having passed through these 15 chapters or 13 chapters, they should know 1, 2, 3 about international economics. So this is the contents. Number two, the way, how to teach these contents. It's not just by memorizing. It's by let my students thinking. And this was actually the toughest.
I think this is what makes
this
you
is
special.
Yes, this is very, very, very tough in our, you know, government, in our government universities. Why? Because the methods used usually in government university is that how to memorize, how to have the material, and then finish.
Not creating the personality.
Not
that
creating
can
the
bring
personality.
the
This is a problem, unfortunately. So for me, I have chosen, the very hard way. Because you can see why it was a hard way, or it's always a hard way, because the students are reluctant to that. When
you don't have steps to follow.
Yes,
you are creating your own steps.
And when you are asking your student to have a survey about something, to go through net and to gather material so that we can discuss it next lecture or whatever, they consider that as very hard work to be done, and they compare that with other professors that don't do that. So for them, you are asking them too much to do. And in this period of their lives, they didn't recognize to how extent this can be beneficial for them to build their personalities and to build their career. So they are always reluctant to do that. So I have to convince them all the time that this is going to be for their benefit. And this is the toughest thing to be done. But I never, I never stopped to follow this, because I'm quite convinced about that. And I don't want from my students to be quite grateful to me in this period, because after that I used to meet them everywhere, and they are quite thankful to me.
This is why you have your own school.
Yes, they are quite thankful to me, because after they are matured enough to figure out that this for their benefit, they can be convinced about my methods. But it was quite hard.
Then they become aware of what you taught them. Let me move now to talk about the special department that you spearheaded in the Faculty of Commerce, Ain Shams University. I think it is the development department?
Economic department. Economic department. Yes, there is a difference between human resource units and economic department. Economic department, this is professional and scientific position. But human resource unit, it was an initiative from me, and I did it as a professor in universities that knows.
What motivated you to create this?
What motivated me to do that is, as an economist, I knew quite well in this period, in 90s, that we have severe problems regarding labor market in Egypt. And within this period, the Egyptian economy suffered from unemployment, very high unemployment. So the most important reason behind this is that we don't have flexibility in the labor market, which means that we don't have this type of institutions that makes this harmony between supply and demand in the labor market. All the time, when I ask my student at the beginning, do you have a CV? They were astonished. What's the meaning of CV? Yes, this is true, because they didn't know that they have to plan within their study. They have to plan for an opportunity of work. Even they didn't know to how extent their capabilities could fit with one career, consider the others. So from this perspective, it comes to my mind that it's quite important to improve the awareness of students, and to make every year a job fair in order to let the students know what are the opportunities of job available. And at the same time, we designed several training packages about opportunities of job, how we can upgrade the skills of the student, because actually with this large number of students, you cannot have all talents or all skills needed for the labor market, like soft skill, like communications, negotiations, and so on. So from my point of view, I started to